School, Clark Communications 23%. High school basketball action as tonight. The Wildcats of Weymouth High entertain the Red Raiders of North Quincy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Duchamp. I'll call you play-by-play. Glad to be back after a little freak absence. Weymouth High School, Clark Communications 23%. High school basketball action as tonight. The Wildcats of Weymouth High entertain the Red Raiders of North Quincy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Duchamp. I'll call you play-by-play. Glad to be back after a little brief absence. But I want to thank everybody, first of all, for all the thoughts, prayers, cards, etc. As tonight, Weymouth gets ready for a big game as far as they're concerned during the season. The Wildcats, if they want to get to the tournament for the third straight year, take on a Red Raider basketball team who they fell to over in North Quincy, a game that they had in hand. But, well, they just could not hang on to the lead and lost the game in the final 5 minutes. So the Wildcats need this victory. They need to start getting some games that they can win against teams that they lost to the first time around in OCL play. As Weymouth, they'll rely on guard John Stanford to lead the way, number 2 scorer in the OCL. As we'll be back for the start of tonight's game, Weymouth and North Quincy, here from Weymouth High in just a moment.
High school sports to me is forming friendships with your peers, hard work, discipline from your coaches, camaraderie, just working hard and having fun.
High school sports, I think, is just, it's fun, it's great. Keeps kids out of trouble, whatever, playing sports, you know, you meet a lot of new friends, you have fun, teach you discipline, it's great.
Starting lineups are on your screen. The Wildcats will be going with John Stanford, Manny Gomes at the guards, Anzalone, Reardon, and Panora up front. North Quincy, Brian Ross is the key person to watch out for. His coach Ted Stevenson's team, 7-4 on the season, and Chris Earler is also having an outstanding year in the backcourt as the Red Raiders come off a 47-37 victory over Silver Lake. And the Wildcats, well, they were thumped by Taunton, but the Tigers, one of the top teams in eastern Massachusetts. And don't let the Globe poll fool you. By the end of the year, Coach Charlie Dacey's team will be one of the top teams around. Brian Ross decided height advantage, and it works out with Chris Earler getting an easy opportunity. Earler doesn't get it. Derek Panora the rebound. Wildcats in their home white. John Stanford wears 14. Manny Gomes wears 21. Derek Panora wears 30. Andy Reardon wears 25. Steve Anzalone, who has been a madman on the boards as far as the season goes, he wears 31. Andy Reardon, red hot of late, continues it, burying the 3. So the Wildcats get the first basket of the game and try to put the pressure on. Weymouth's guards are very quick and can cause problems. And right there, Manny Gomes hustling back into the play, forces a turnover by Mike Johnston. North Quincy in the traveling red when we come up court and meet them. Chris Earler wears 4, Mike Johnston 34, Jim Finn wears 44, Brian Ross 45, Matt Bromley 54. 2-3 zone, Reardon, best way to beat it, shooting over the top, doesn't get it to go. Derek Panora gets the rebound. Manny Gomes with a 3. And Ted Stevenson says enough is enough because he doesn't like the way the Red Raiders have begun. Timeout on the court, 6-0 Weymouth. We played 56 seconds. Well, the first minute of the game has been all Wildcats. 2 3-pointers, Reardon and Gomes getting them to give the Wildcats the early advantage. Coach Ted Stevenson was furious. I don't know if you could hear him. He just barked, timeout. You can't blame the Red Raider coach. Brian Ross, outstanding player. He's just a junior, and he's going to be a factor, as it is Johnston. Earler, Ross, over Anzalone. Can't put North Quincy on the board. Bromley battles with Penora and Andy Reardon on the rebound. And they are going to whistle a foul on Derek Penora, one of the Wildcat captains. He and Richie Gomes, the captains for the Wildcats, to John Fleming. Johnston. Wildcats aggressive in their matchup zone. Bromley doesn't hit Ansel on the rebound. Ansel's had 6 double-figure games in rebounding during this year. Manny Gomes a little off balance. Can't get it to go as Gomes trying to take it to an open area and hit the shot. Chris Earle trying to get away from John Stanford, and John's got the very quick hands. Remember a year ago, he and Tommy McGinnis were quite a backcourt. Derek Penora picks up his second foul very quickly. Minute 42 gone in the game, and Derek Penora with 2 quick fouls. And Brian Ross, a year ago, for the Red Raiders, their leader, offensively, and a lot of other ways, as well as just he provided the inside offense for the Red Raiders. Still was involved in one of the better plays last year with Martin Gillen of Weymouth. Gillen blocked a shot over North Quincy and led to a Chip Moore fast break on penetration. 6-2 ball game, nearly 2 minutes gone as the Wildcats will be forced to shoot over the zone. Weymouth had a 9-point lead first game at half, 29-20. Led by 6, late going, just couldn't put it away. And Penora comes up short in the shot. Bromley stepped into the way of the Penora shot, down the other end, and a pretty good move to the hoop. Drives the layup for Jim Finn, and the Red Raiders come back with 4 quick points. 6-4 ball game. Wildcats have gone to the outside shooting for their points, and the Red Raiders, a couple of foul shots and a layup for theirs. Gomes over the top of the zone, front rims it. Earl of the rebound, so the first minute the Wildcats, if they didn't hit the 3, were getting the offensive rebound. Right now, they are not. North Quincy out of that timeout a little more aggressive. Weymouth has gone to a 1-3-1 look. Change up in the defenses from the matchup. Ross gets the baseline. Anzalone went out to meet him. Ross stepped around him and ties the game at 6. Ryan Ross with 4 of those 6 points. Stanford and Anzalone and now Penora. As the Wildcats moving around, Penora turnaround. Off the mark. Derek a little clutching on the shot. He forced it up a little and came up with a miss. We're tied at 6. A little over 3 minutes play. Mark Sean with you on Cox Communications, 23. Brian Ross put on the line, so it had only been a 2. Andy Reardon, who has been playing very well as of late. Manny Gomes, a great week when the Wildcats hit a 3-0 week, beating Silver Lake, Barnstable, and Plymouth South. This is John Stanford, a little too strong with a shot. Earl stepped in as Stanford's shot went up. Ross blocked by Gomes. Ross looks back and says, hey, you're a little guy. You don't do that to me. But Manny hustling into play makes a nice one. Red Raiders ball. One thing, if you don't know about high school basketball in the state of Massachusetts this year, the 30-second shot clock, and the Red Raiders have 22 left in the clock, is in the experimental stage. Ross gets the Bromley pick off of the shot. Ross, one thing you gotta like, he's going for the face-up jumper. He was more in the pivot last year. Weymouth, some substitutions. Nathan Farrar is wearing 12. 24 is Mike Rogerson. Stanford is the key to this Wildcat team. Had it partially blocked by Ross. Earl picked it up. Ross went out and challenged Stanford and blocked the shot. Weymouth had the first minute, North Quincy the second minute, but no one's had any minutes since then. As far as offense goes, 11:35 and left in the first half, and John Stanford gets away with a turnover. Tied at 6. Nathan Farrar. Andy Reardon, now 1 out of 2 for 3-pointers. Wildcats have gone to the bench for 2 substitutions here in the early going. North Quincy yet to go to the bench. Earl with the basketball. Red Raiders trying to use the spread offense and shoot over the Wildcats. Bromley, good rebound. Rogerson grabbed them. Rogerson got beat on the rebound action, and Mike, figured that the best situation was to commit the foul and not allow the layup. And we're going to get a timeout on the court. The Wildcats will take it. 11:01 to go first half. Tied at 6. We're tied at 6, 11 minutes to go first half. Monty Sean with you on Cox Communications 23. North Quincy. Angelone, excellent defense. Stephen, Suns are in football, an outstanding linebacker. And you saw why there. He just read the passing angle, stepped in, got the ball. Wildcats look to get the lead back. They led 6-0, and now they turn the ball over. North Quincy will go for their first lead. About the 5th time that they've had the opportunity to bring it down and get that first lead. And Brian Ross can't oblige. Angelone, Mike Johnson, they will say, tipped it out of his hands. Stephen, you just see it. He's got a nose for the basketball. He's going after rebounds. And it paid off. Stanford and the Wildcats. Not much offense to speak of. John in the lane. Goes to the left hand nicely. Why is John Stanford number 2 in scoring the OCL? Junior guard showed you why there. Very, very creative in the lane. He's got that good ability to drive and know what to do and finishing off. Ross gets over Angelone and buries it. He's got 6 of the 8. Brian Ross went baseline. Get around Mike Rogerson and bumped into Steve Angelone. Lead has been Weymouth throughout this first half. North Quincy hasn't led. Kick ball, reset the clock for 30 seconds for the Wildcats. It's like college, just like the NBA. North Quincy's had to come back from 6-0 and now 8-6. Which normally, it's just the fact is, not much as far as leads go, but the fact is offense has been hard to come by here in this first half. Wildcats got the 3-point shot going right away, and Nathan Farrar from deep doesn't get the kind bounce. Angelone, beautiful job on the boards. His first hoop of the game, and the Wildcats with a 10-8 lead. And Steve Angelone, you gotta be physical to be a rebounder, showing it right there. He used the body, banged his way in for the layup, and John Stanford with the reach-in foul. John was you saw last year how good he was at getting his hands on the basketball and creating turnovers, and he and Tommy McGinnis just made life miserable. I'll go back to that Catholic Memorial Tournament game. 15 foul on the Wildcats. Andy Reardon on the foul. I tell you, it's one of those fouls that the old common is, you see that, the old common playgrounds was a push out. There's no such thing anymore. It's either a foul or a travel, and the foul was called. As Angelone got into the way of that shot. Steve goes after the loose ball, and Wildcats get the break and get the basketball. Because it appeared that either Rogerson or Farrar had got their hands on the basketball and tipped it away. 8:50 to go first half, and the Wildcats up by 2, 10-8. Big game for them. And Nathan Farrar makes it a 5-point lead. The three-pointer has been the staple of the Wildcat offense. They got 3 three-pointers so far. And Farrar the steal, fed by Stanford. Farrar, nice job. Nathan turtled perfectly. He turtled the body perfectly and was able to draw the foul and keep his balance and get off a good-looking shot at the hoop. He will draw 2. And as the Red Raiders with their first foul of the game. And that's Nathan Farrar. Got a 3. He will try to give the Wildcats back their biggest lead. 8:28 to go first half. And the Wildcats still with a 5-point lead. It's Nathan 0 for 2. Furler and North Quincy. And the Red Raiders winning that first one, 52-47. And Chris Erla, who buries the 3 at 14 in that first game. 13-11. Wildcats set that pace in that first game. They were controlling. In the late going, they just could not score. It's been their problem is getting people to do it, as Andy Reardon with the travel. Just finding more people to score for them. That has been their key. John Stanford averages 21. Then after that, it's just somebody and somebody type of atmosphere. Andy Gomes has had a couple of double-figure games. Andy Reardon has the latest done the job. Anzalone's had a couple of big games, but it hasn't been a consistent. Next scorer is Erla. 2 straight threes in North Quincy with their first lead at 14-13. 7:30 to go, first half, and Stanford in the Wildcats. Reardon in trouble. Rogerson helps out. Good cut to the hoop by Reardon. However, he can't finish. Anzalone blocked by Reardon. Wildcats don't maintain possession of the basketball. That was just good hustle and just a frustrating break if you're a Weymouth fan, because Anzalone and Rogerson just attacked the basketball. Andy Reardon checked that. They attacked the basketball and, well, they were unable to come up with it. And would have had an easy hope. And some substitutions. Mark Correction wearing 22 for the Wildcats. Then Manny Gomes back in. Brian Doyle, who had 10 in that first meeting between the two. Erla. 3 straight three-pointers, and Red Raiders by 4, 17-13. Chris Erler had 3 good looks to the hoop and just been able to knock them in. Gomes gets the baseline. Manny does a great job. Manny's first, second hoop of the game. He's got 5, a three-pointer, and that beautiful drive to the hoop. 17-15, Erler back. Bromley. He thought Brian Ross was cutting along the baseline to the hoop. Brian Ross stopped. And in the confusion, the Wildcats have the basketball, a chance to either tie or take the lead. Weymouth in a very tough first half as far as both teams being bothered by the other team's defense. Stanford drive to the hoop, doesn't get the left-hand shot to go. And Brian Doyle. Erler. Doyle trapped. Bromley trapped. And a reach-in foul possibly on Anzalone or Correction. Stephen Anzalone. As Ross in the inbounds doesn't get it. Ross gets a thank you. Bounce, and it comes to him, and, well, Mike Rogerson picks up his second foul, and Brian Ross gets 2. A couple of tough bounces if you're Weymouth. And Brian Ross's shot, and he had 3 Weymouth players just looking at the ball and went, whoops, right over 2 of them, and, well, Brian Ross gets the opportunity to shoot some foul shots. Down the other end, if you remember earlier, it was a great chance. Andy Reardon makes a nice move to the hoop. Gets in free, doesn't get the shot. He and Steve Anzalone collide in the rebound. The result, North Quincy ball is the Red Raiders with a They go up by 3, 18-15. And Ross with 8 in the ball game, and the Red Raiders with a 4-point lead as Manny Gomes, Andy Reardon, Steve Anzalone, Mike Rogerson, and John Stanford out there, and Gomes gives up his dribble. Reardon. Weymouth's led by 6. North Quincy now with their biggest lead, 4. Gomes looks for Stanford. Stanford has trouble with the ball, and Weymouth gets a break. 8 seconds left in the shot clock. 8 seconds left in the shot clock. Here's Andy Reardon. We'll put it in play. And had it deflected back. Good pass underneath. Gomes cut to the hoop for the deuce. Gomes with 7. Reardon with an excellent assist. And we head to 5:05 to go first half in a 2-point game, North Quincy. And count it. For Jim Finney, he'll go to the line for 3-point play opportunity. 21-17, and double dribble on the Wildcats. 21-17, North Quincy, and under 5 minutes to go for 49. And the Wildcats would come out with a 1-2-1-1 press. But Earl are able to dribble through it. Oh, Manny Gomes got away with a foul as Nick Shea buries the jumper. Biggest NQ lead in the first half of the 6. Wildcats, after the solid start in the first minute, offensive foul and Anzalone underneath. After the good start for the Wildcats, almost just come a little, not confused, it's not the phrase, it's just you're looking for the right phrase. They're not sure of what they want to accomplish in going to getting shots in the first half of their shot selection. They get the opportunities to drive, but then all of a sudden North Quincy has closed the lane very well, as you look at for the 1-on-1, John Sullivan. The Red Raiders now 5 out of 5 at the line. Wildcats 0 for 2. 24-17. And it'll be Weymouth ball. Nathan Farrar. John Stanford, the backcourt. Dirk Penora. Andy Reardon. Mike Rogerson up front. Reardon. His second 3. There's the Wildcats. They have 4 3-pointers in this first half and down by 4. 24-20 going on the 4 minutes to go first half. Tough pass for Sullivan, the handle, and the Wildcats get the ball back. 1-2-1-1 pressure. Paid off. The Wildcats trying to force the ball along the sidelines and make it tough for North Quincy, and it paid off right there. Reardon. Stanford goes in, does a good job in carving the opening. Brian Ross the rebound. John has had a tough time finishing the first half. Earler, top of the 3-point line, gets the nice little bounce back to him. And you get a credit underneath. Shea did a good job of tipping it to him. Or check it, Mark Stanton did the job of tipping it to him. Penora getting the rebound of that miss. And the Wildcats trying to get back to within 2, maybe 1 if they can get a 3-pointer. They've gotten the 3-pointers. Nathan Farrar bumped into by Chris Earler. His first. North Quincy, just 2 team fouls. Weymouth with 9. In the final 2:54, that does not bode well for the Wildcats. North Quincy would be in the double bonus for the rest of this first half. And the Wildcats will be facing a lot of swipes at the basketball, a lot of extra bumps and bangs because North Quincy with fouls to waste. Man-to-man for North Quincy. Stanford trying to beat Earler off the dribble, finds Farrar. And Nathan, second three-pointer of the first half. 24-23, the Wildcats were down by 7, back to within 1. And Weymouth back to the matchup. Used a couple of varieties of zones here in the first half. Chris Earler bothered them for a while and came up with some big three-pointers. Why North Quincy cutting back into the lead and in the rugby scrum, and it's going to be a tie-up. Weymouth will get it on the possession. This is not bad in getting the possession, a chance to take the lead, but the negative, they would have began with the ball in the second half instead. Go North Quincy's got the arrow their way at the present time. Reardon, short on the shot, and a rebound right to Ross. Stanford right in the middle of the pack, nearly came up the ball. Johnston having trouble. Stanford can cause problems. He's got the quick hands and the quick feet to get right into the spot. You just make it difficult for that person dribbling the ball as the shot doesn't go for North Quincy's Jimmy Finn. Underneath, Finn will get a second opportunity because Brian Ross hustled down the rebound and Finn got the layup. Minute 23 to go, first half, 26-23, North Quincy. Farrar has got 2 3-pointers. Nathan doesn't have an avenue. Panora didn't have the spot created. Andy Reardon tried to feed the bounce pass and just had the ball knocked away by Brian Ross, who just played it perfectly. Moved the feet as Johnston hits the 3. His first hoop of the game. 29-23 North Quincy, 50 seconds and counting in the first half. The Wildcats climbed to within 1 and then just saw a couple of turnovers just kill them. 15 on the shot clock. Farrar, a deep 3. Wildcats can't get it. Stanford had it knocked away from him. Johnston, a wild shot. Ross in the follow. And the bounces, you got to admit, go North Quincy's way because Earler gets the opportunity on a third shot. Panora, Ross hurt. And I'll tell you, John Fleming's going to have a good point as they check on Brian Ross. As Wayne Masters come out with 22 seconds to go in the first half. North Quincy by 6. So you got a crowd? Brian Ross going off under his own steam and heading to the locker room with 22 seconds left in the first half. Weymouth will have the basketball and probably play for the final shot. Down by 6. Stanford and the Wildcats weave it around as they go for that final shot. North Quincy right there, fouls to waste. It pays off with 5.9. Mike Johnston on the foul. And 3 team fouls. North Quincy can start grabbing again. Andy Reardon to put it in play. The Wildcats try to run something to get the good shot, and Stanford and the Wildcats will go for the shot. Surprising, North Quincy doesn't foul, and Stanford makes them pay. And the first half ends with the Wildcats getting that hoop by John Stanford that could help out. We'll find out. Back for the second half tonight's game in just a moment. You're watching high school basketball on Cox Communications. The Red Raiders lead by 4.